Welcome back. Chapter 2, Burning Issy by Melvin Burgess. We were poor, but there are a great many poorer than us. We rented a cottage in a small plot of land miles under Pendle Hill where we kept pigs and chickens and grew vegetables. Sometimes Nat helped with the harvest or did a little labouring, but he wasn't a clever man with his hands. Mostly he was a cunning man. He could cure a sick cow or a pig or help someone just to get well just by sitting with them. And he knew all the curing herbs in the fields and the woods. People came from miles around to get his help. When they were too ill, he went to them. He always went whether they could pay him or not. Most of his patients were poor. He made a small living from his gifts. It was not a safe profession either. Excuse me. In those days, even good Nat's friendly charms were suspect. Miller Badwin, the church warden, claimed they were the devil's work and complained to the magistrate, Roger Nowell, and even further afield to get Nat arrested. Parson Holden warned Nat to give up his work, but Nat said his gifts came from God and that God would not allow him to suffer for practicing them. Gilby and Nat's son had the gift too. When I was 5 years old, he bought some warts on my hand off me. He paid me a fat blackberry for each one, and the next morning my palm began to clear up. When he was grown up, he would be a cunning man in Nat's place. Gil was not always a good friend. He was 4 years older than me. He was a boy. He had a gift of a cunning man and thought I was beneath him. We lived away from the village and people avoided us because we were cunning man's children. The word of my fire dream did not help, or my nickname. When Kate was 15, she married and went to live with her husband in Burnley. I took over her duties, the cooking, the cleaning, the housework. I was 8 years old. When I did have time off, I often used to go and play by myself. One favourite place was a wooden nook by a little stream about a mile from our house. When I was small, I used to go there and play with my doll, which Gil had carved out of a piece of wood with my 7th birthday. Later on, it was a good place just to go and be on my own by the stream, where no one ever came. That was where I first met Jeanette. I was scared at first. I had seen her before many times, begging with her mother or grandmother. She was the same age as me, 12, but so much smaller, with years of poor food and cold that she might have been 2 or 3 years younger. I knew what she was and where she came from. My first thought was to run, but I was not going to give up my favourite place so easily. "What are you doing here?" I demanded. Jeanette only shrugged and moved a little towards something down the damp moss close to by the stream. It was some twisted, ugly thing that might have been the figure of a person. I looked fearfully at it and thought of witchcraft. "What is this? What are you doing?" I hissed. "It's my doll," whined Jeanette. She looked sulky. "I'm only playing," she added. "This is my place," I began angrily, but even as I spoke I saw what was going on. The doll was just a forked stick with some horsehair stuck on one end. It was the only toy she had. She laid it where I used to play with my doll. She must have hidden and seen me playing here and come with her poor old stick, and that was as near as she got to someone to play with. Being what she was, Jeanette must be even lonelier than I. "How do you know about this place?" I asked. "I saw you," she admitted, looking up at me to see my reaction. But I wasn't scared of her anymore, or angry. I was curious. and I was wondering already if it was possible to be friends with someone like her. Jeanette was a witch's child. All the family were known for it. She was not one of them, not yet. I'm afraid I've been kind to her all my life, but now I only felt sorry for, I've been afraid of her kind all my life, but now I only felt sorry for her. She was so poor and hungry and frightened and had nothing to look forward to, not even her reward in heaven, since she would have to sell her soul to the devil when she was old enough. Jeanette was bad luck to everyone, even to her own family in the end, but she was good and loyal to me, then later on, and I never regretted being her friend. The end of chapter 2.